It's the last few days of Pride Month, and I feel like we're still in the dark ages when it comes to this subject. While many people accept Pride Month and the LGBTQ community, there are still many that don't. The bad thing is that those opposed make sure everyone knows about it. They will tell you how to live your lives and what you can and cannot do with your body. My thoughts? Let people be people. Hello, my name is Sean, and welcome back to my channel. Normally I do true crimes and murder, mystery, myths, things like that. This week I'm going to do a little bit different. It's still going to be talking about true crimes, but not any one in particular. Like always, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the community of YouTube out because of the demographics and everything like that. All their algorithms, they can use that for future shows. Plus, please leave comments what you liked about the video, what you didn't like about the video. I'm sure a lot of the comments will be that you don't like this. I can't change it, sorry. But with that, let's get on with it. Last week I did my true crime on Brandon Tina, a trans man who was murdered in 1993. I decided to do another true crime for Pride Month this week. I thought about doing it on Matthew Shepard, and then I started thinking about doing it on the 1969 Stonewall riots. And I couldn't decide. You know, the Stonewall riots is what Pride Month is kind of technically founded on. But then I went down the rabbit hole on the internet. And for hours, I was bringing up more and more hate crimes toward the LGBTQ community. And it went on and on. America has a problem. It has a problem with not letting people be who they are. It's bad enough with the racial violence in America, but you're also doing it against gender and sexuality. Can't we just accept a person who they are? And that's what really sucks. You know, Pride Month started, technically, President Bill Clinton, started in June of 1999, and he declared it each June to be Gay and Lesbian Pride Month. It was the 30th year anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and then in 2011, President Barack Obama declared it officially recognized all of June to include the whole LGBTQ community. Like I said, I went down a rabbit hole. And I can't believe the amount of hate that there is out there. I know, I did the bad thing. I went to Wikipedia. And Wikipedia lists all of the different crimes or murders against the LGBTQ community. And it was horrendous. And I started, you know, picking every couple from each decade. And like for the 70s, I probably had 10 different things. For the 80s, it ended up being about 15 because it got more. The 90s even had more. Then when you got to the 2000s, it was just astronomical. I just want to take a moment. I think it's about a minute and a half long. So over here, I'm going to show all the different crimes that you can find on Wikipedia that have been perpetrated. I'm, like I said, I'd be doing a couple hours worth if I was actually saying each crime. It sickens me. You know, I joke around a lot saying that I don't hate people for their race, their gender, their sexuality. I just hate people. And what's bad is it's people like this that's doing these crimes that really need to be hated. Everyone has different opinions and different feelings. And looking at the reasons that people are killing LGBTQ community members. I mean, the reasons are just idiotic. And on top of that, the punishments for doing it are sometimes even worse. Yeah, some of them get life, some of them get death penalty. That's great. But some of them got slaps on the wrist for murdering somebody. And I will dwell on some of those. I'm not going to name names. I'm not here to glorify these killers. I will mention a few people that lost their lives because they need to be remembered. And in all actuality, go check out Wikipedia and remember these people, because one of my favorite quotes, those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. A lot of this is not going to be scripted today. I do have some script written down for things, but a lot of it's not going to be scripted because I want to speak from my heart. Let people be people. You know, some of the excuses that people gave for attacking a gay person or a trans person was because I don't want to see them kiss in public. Okay, well, I don't like to see anyone kissing in public. You know, just besides that type of kiss. But I don't want to see somebody making out. I don't care if it's a guy and a guy, a girl and a girl, or a guy and a girl, or two guys and one girl, or three girls and one guy, or whatever. Or two furries. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any of it. You know, and I know there's a lot of people at the PDA that love PDA. Great. I don't want to see it though. But I'm not going to condemn them. I'm not going to kill them. I'm not going to do anything bad to them. I just don't look. There's a interesting thing. If you don't like it, don't look. The Stonewall riots occurred on June 28th, 1969, and it lasted until July 3rd of 1969. It was a series of protests in response to the police raid at the Stonewall Inn in New York City. Throughout the 60s, police often raided gay bars, but at the Stonewall, the police quickly lost control of the situation. When arresting patrons, the police used excessive force to place them into the cars, like banging their heads into the door frames and things like that. Onlookers were outraged by this and started throwing things at the officer. As they retaliated, all hell broke loose. Although there had already been raids and violence against the gay community, this really ignited a flame which turned the violence up against the community. On June 24th, so yet another June violence, in 1973, an arsonist burned the upstairs lounge. This was a gay bar in New Orleans. 32 people lost their lives. The arsonist was never found. Here's a list of all that lost their lives that night. And it's really sad that the coward does something like that and disappears. It's really disgusting. And it wasn't just, nobodies or unknown people getting hurt. Even in the 70s, Harvey Milk was assassinated. The person who killed him was only sentenced to 7 years for the crime. Because of it being such a small punishment, this prompted the White Knights riots. And in 1979, American playwright Tennessee Williams was beaten up by 5 teenage boys. The reasoning behind this happened in Key West, Florida. The reason behind this is because there was an anti-gay newspaper that was encouraging anti-gay violence in the area. So they, I think it was a Baptist minister that was in charge of this newspaper. 1982, there was a Y'all Come Back Saloon over in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and 2 gentlemen were beaten pretty badly. And while they were at the hospital, the cops that beat them, this was cops that beat them, not other people, but police, Minneapolis police officers, beat them, took them to the hospital. And staff workers testified that the whole time the cops kept calling them the F word, not the swear word, but the derogatory F word for a gay man. They wouldn't stop referring to them as them. And I don't know what they're convicted of, but they got convicted of something. In 1987, there was the Shelby bookstore murders, where 3 men were killed and 2 injured when some white patriot members of the White Patriot Party, decided to teach these gay guys a lesson. The Shelby bookstore was an adult bookstore. Out of the 3 or 4 guys that perpetrated this, only 2 were charged, and one of them was acquitted, and the other one had his charges dropped. Texas, man. I mean, seriously. Again in Texas, there was a killer that was sentenced to 30 years in prison. The judge verbally said that he would have gone longer, but since the victims were homosexual, he felt that they would not have been killed if they were not out on the streets looking for other men. 1991, a man was murdered in Houston when attacked by 10 young men. Eventually, all 10 were convicted. Their sentences ranged all the way from probation to fines. And there was a 45-year prison sentence to the man who inflicted the fatal stab. In 1992 also there was a U.S. petty officer that was murdered by a shipmate. This petty officer had complained multiple times about anti-gay harassment on his boat or ship. This is one of those pivotal points for the Don't Ask, Don't Tell bill that came through. Then the start of the hate crimes against the LGBTQ community, the founding, what I've found, and there's some disputes about it, but as I found that it's one of the founding cases that started the ball rolling, even though it took many years before it became hate crime, was the Brandon Tina in 1993 in Nebraska. Soon after that, we had the Matthew Shepard in 1998, which was really got the ball rolling. I mean, it's sick because I really didn't know everything that happened with Matthew Shepard. And it's sick, and I feel so bad for him, his family, his friends. Because it's terrible. And see, that's the reason I didn't really want to focus on any one person. Because what happened to Brandon Tina was awful. What's happened to Matthew Shepard, awful. What happened to Tennessee Williams, awful. And if I focus on each one, it's just, it would just be terrible. That's the reason I'm trying not to focus on the people, even though they need to be remembered. That's why I said go check it out, because they need to be remembered. After the House of Representatives voted to extend the federal laws to classify hate crimes based on a victim's sexual orientation or gender identity, this happened, I mean seriously, this did not happen until April 2009. Just think of all the violence that happened. I guess that's when they voted on it. It was never passed until October 22nd of 2009. Sorry. President Barack Obama signed it on October 28th, 2009. So it took that long to get to that point. And it's ridiculous. It is sad. It is despicable. And I mean, I don't want somebody to sit there and say that I'm focusing on gay rights or LGBTQ rights and the hate crimes against them, and I don't care about the hate crimes against blacks or hate crimes against Judaism or things like that. They're all terrible. They are all awful, and none of them are needed. Um, and I was going to, for Juneteenth this year, I was going to do a true crime about a black gentleman that got murdered. But then I decided that it's supposed to be a happy day, so I didn't want to ruin it by talking about some horrific thing. So I'll come back to him eventually. But it's Pride Month, so that's the reason I've stuck with doing Pride. And I got some really good feedback from Brandon and Tina last week. So I thought I would continue the trend by talking about it again this week, because it's still an issue that is so strong in the political parties and religious groups and all that. I mean, they always say prostitution is the world's oldest profession. Well, you know what? Homosexuality is pretty darn old too. It's not a profession, but I mean, it's been back there since the Aristotle times and King Tut times and things like that. Granted, a lot of it was shunned upon, but it's been there. I mean, you always hear about the ancient Greeks having bathhouses where men would be washing other men. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. There's writings about it. You know, at what point did we just become such uptight prudes and think that our beliefs should be followed by everyone? I'm not trying to be political about any of this, but I mean, anyone's beliefs. You can have any belief. I don't care what religion you are, I don't care what sexual practice you are, or anything. As long as it's not something completely disgusting, you know, like liking children or something like that, which is wrong on so many different levels, because I'm sure they could probably sit there and say, well, I got reasonings behind. No, there's no reasoning behind that. But as long as you're not trying to shove it down my throat of what religion you are or what sexuality you are or things like that, I'm more than willing to listen to you. I'm more than willing to talk to you. I don't care. You know, just because it's not something for me doesn't mean it's wrong for you. And the bad thing is, so many people don't feel that way or don't understand it. It's like with the abortion issue. You know, they can tell these women what they can and can't do with their bodies, but how would they like it if somebody told them what they can do or can't do with their body? Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not for other people. And that's the whole thing with all the gay rights and things like that. I don't care if Bob likes Bob and Betty likes Betty. You know, that doesn't hurt me. It doesn't bother me. I've got gay friends. I have gay relatives. I know some people that are transgender or thinking that they're transgender. I don't always understand it, but I accept it. You know, only you know what's best for yourself. You know, you can't spout your own negativity and expect everyone to jump on your bandwagon. I feel like I'm just ranting now, so this is probably going to be a short video because I don't want to rant. I don't want to preach. You know, I guess I'm telling you the way it is and what you should do. So, oh God, don't listen to him because he's trying to tell us how to think. I'm not. I'm just trying to tell you not to tell other people how to think. Um, and I'm not going to quote anything, but the last group of people that are really bad against the LGBTQ community are those that spout religion as it's against God and you're going to burn in hell for this stuff. You know, I've really never found anything too negative about that. Apparently, there's one line in one certain Bible that says, "No man shall lay with another man." The Bible is really up to your interpretation of it. That doesn't outright say that you can't be gay. But if you're gonna take that literally as saying that you can't be gay, there are some messed up verses in the Bible. One says that if a man forcibly has sex with another or with a woman, he is to pay her father 20 shekels of silver and marry her. There's another verse that I saw that if a man has his way with a woman, they are to both be placed out in the public and stoned to death because she is no longer pure for marriage. Now, there's two different things that contradict each other in the Bible. One about throwing the babies against the rocks. There is a lot of messed up things in the Bible. So, if you really want to start living your life that exact way, then, by all means. But remember, there is the rule of thumb that comes from the Bible where a man can beat his wife or children with any object no thicker than his thumb. So there's that for you if you really want to follow that. You just need to be good to each other. The world would be a better place if we just accepted everyone. Because like I said earlier, I hate a lot of people. I hate people for who they are, not what sexuality they are, what gender they are, what color they are. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. Just be good to each other. And I already know that I rambled too much, but I'm gonna say this one last thing. When I was a kid, we used to go up to Montreal to visit relatives because my mom's side of the family is French, and her sister and mother were living up there. So we would go visit them. And I was in a little town called St. Bruno, and I ran into some kid at a park. I didn't know French very well, I said hello to him, he said hello, and we just started playing. Neither was talking, trying to do little bit of communication as we could in French to each other about what we were doing and what we were looking at, until one of us like hurt ourselves and went, "Damn it!" And the other one looked at the other one and goes, "You speak English?" And we're like, "Yeah." So for like an hour, we were playing, thinking the other person didn't understand a word that we would say, so we never spoke, except for broken French, because primarily it's a French-speaking place. We didn't care. We just wanted to have somebody to hang out with. So sometimes children can teach us lessons as adults that we need, that doesn't care about color, race, gender, sexual bias, or anything. They just treat people like they want to be treated themselves. And that's how I try to treat people. I can't say that I've always been that way in my life. I can't say that I haven't spent a good majority of my life being an asshole, because I have been. Not toward any race or anything like that, just in general. Just like that Dennis Leary song. But seriously, check out the history of violence against LGBT people in America, or in the United States, off of Wikipedia. It's heartbreaking. It's sad. It's terrible. And as always, be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And please like, share, comment, and subscribe. It helps me out. It helps me be a better person. It helps me have some more guidance. And it warms my heart. I've got a cold heart. It warms me up a little bit. So until next time, love y'all. Take care.